Welcome back. It's the AM show still, and it's time now for us to engage Mr. Ebenezer Korte, Esquire, lawyer by profession, and the executive director, or should I say CEO, of Microcredit Association of Ghana. And I know, and I mentioned this morning, that this week in particular, when you hear microcredit, your mind goes back to a party over the weekend, but that's not what we're talking about. Mr. Korte, welcome to the program.
Thank you, sweetie.
That's not what we're talking about, is it?
Exactly so.
Is that what we're talking about?
No.
Okay. So what's the difference between microfinance and microcredit, and exactly what role do they play in the banking sector, banking and finance sector?
Thank you, sweetie. Good morning to you. Good morning to our viewers. And good morning to our member institutions. I mean the microcredit and by extension, the microfinance institutions.
Okay.
I salute all of them for the role that they are playing in the space. Microfinance basically looks at the provision of financial services to the productive poor. Now we are also roping in MSMEs.
Okay.
We are looking at the excluded. We are looking at the unbanked. Microfinance stands on two legs, basically. So we have microsave. In our context, we are looking at SUSU and microcredit, providing credit loans to people. So when we talk about microfinance, two things come to mind: microsave, deposit taking, and loans. But specifically, when you look at microcredit, then solely you are focusing on credit or loans.
Okay. You know, there's an influx of mobile money. By mobile money, I don't mean just one network. All the networks really have mobile money systems. Does it take anything away from your business as microfinance and microcredit?
It doesn't. It doesn't. It enhances what we do.
Okay.
Yes. I think we have a number of telephony companies doing a lot in the space by way of mobile money. I think they are also doing some form of credit. Digital lending is coming up strongly. I will talk about it because we have quite a number of them who don't have license to do the business of digital and online lending. I know the Bank of Ghana is working on that, putting something together in that direction.
So let's talk about that.
Yes.
The relationship between the bank and what you do. Is there a need for a more regulated environment for you to operate in? Yes,
we have a partnership with the Bank of Ghana.
Okay.
In fact, we serve as agents for the bank. We basically provide delegated services in the area of license facilitation for those who want to go into the business of microcredit.
Okay.
We do supervision on behalf of the bank. We also do surveillance for the bank. You know, we have quite a number of operators in the space who don't have license. Sweetie, let me say that this is a regulated business. Before you can go into the business of microcredit, you need a license, and a license from the Bank of Ghana. That is one.
Yeah.
Even for the SUSU operators, those that you see in the market,
door to door and
yes, they
money.
also need a license from the Bank of Ghana.
That's why you mentioned that most people are doing this without the license. And how is the Bank of Ghana clamping down on these?
Bank of Ghana is doing a lot in the space, and of course we are doing it in collaboration with them to clamp down on those who are doing the business without license. So the partnership has been good over the years. We are in our 10th year. With the support of GIZ, we have also been out there doing financial literacy and education to sensitize the public, even for those who we think should know better, fall prey to some of these institutions.
Right.
So let me also use this platform to say that yes, it may be your own money you want to lend, you need a license. If you are taking deposit from the public, it's also important that you get a license also to take deposit from the public. You cannot say that, okay, I've gone to, for instance, the Registrar General Department, I've gotten my business registered, and for that matter, I can go into the business of microcredit or SUSU microsave or operate generally as a microfinance institution. No. If the assembly gives you permit, that doesn't allow you to go into the business of either SUSU or microcredit. This is banking business. And basically, lending is banking business, deposit taking is also banking business. So you will need a license from the regulator.
What I'm hearing is that the Bank of Ghana, or should I say government, actually does pay attention to the microcredits, microfinance industry or sector.
Yes.
But is there a need for some sort of policy framework to properly regulate or structure? Because like you're saying, they're now doing some work to clamp down on those who are operating without licenses. And I'm sure there are some gaps in there that don't augur well for the whole association. What should the government focus on in terms of maybe developing a policy framework? If there's one already, you can also tell us that.
We don't have one yet.
We don't have one?
Sweetie, it's interesting. A lot of countries come to Ghana to learn from us. Kenya, for instance, has done so well in the credit union space. In fact, when you talk about the biggest credit unions in Africa, you find them in Kenya. We also need to carve a certain niche for ourselves. My view is that it's important we pay attention to microcredit and by extension, microfinance if we really want to develop the MSME sector. The earlier conversation that you had with Morrison and team, definitely there is a certain missing link. It's about finance. If we want to support our peasant farmers, this is exactly what we should be looking at.
Some of them are unbanked, which is where you come in.
Yes, and we are doing our bits. We will need support. What we need now is a policy for the sector. Okay. We need a microfinance policy. Something was started last year with the support of GIZ. Okay. There has been change in government, we all know. I am aware that the new government is also looking at it. Okay. We are praying that things go as expected, so it goes to cabinet for cabinet to look at it, so we can have a policy for the sector. You know, quite a lot has been done, Maslock and all of that. For me, I think we need to take a second look at Maslock. What, for instance, the Ugandans have done is to use the microfinance institutions to get to the MSMEs. So as we say, they are using one stone to kill two birds. And this is exactly what we can be looking at. We give them funds for on-lending to MSME. I don't want to talk about the private sector. Let's focus on MSME. I think, was it last week or earlier this week, as part of Joy Business, you spoke about, there was this documentary on students on campus who are doing something for them. So it is about credit and the support that we can give to these individuals and institutions to grow their businesses. For instance,
not just the economy as well. Because,
sorry?
I mean, whilst you're helping these businesses, you're helping the economy.
Exactly.
It's a big advantage.
So we are creating employment.
Yeah.
Of course, we are also contributing to GDP and all of that. So there are a lot that we are doing in the space. I think that I am a product of microfinance. And for me, the future is microcredit. And of course, by extension, microfinance. When COVID struck, a lot of banks were not lending. Our institutions had to step in. Our institutions dared to lend to these small businesses. And I think that this is exactly what saved our country. And, sweetie, let us not forget, how many banks do we have in Ghana and how many of them are locally owned? And there is also an issue. The fact that when they make so much, they take them back to their home country. I want to microfinance, microcredit is what I believe will grow our economy. Okay. And I think we need to pay attention to it. Okay.
And I want to stay on the lack of a policy framework and ask, how do you manage or deal with situations of loan defaults, rising non-performing loans, and the need for responsible borrowing? I mean, the possibility of making willful default an offense under the laws. How do you deal with that? How does the government deal with that when there's no policy framework?
Thank you.
And these are issues that plague the microfinance, microcredit sector.
They hinge on our businesses. They could adversely affect our institutions. So the Bank of Ghana report over the years has talked about rising non-performing loans. It's a concern even in the banking space. Yes, we agree. In 2019, we started a campaign on responsible borrowing, and we christened it Wuji Atua, the Kohe pay in Ghana. So
how do you say pay in Ghana?
My Ghana is not too good. So in 2009, we started this campaign. It has been a concern in the banking sector. Employment is affected, livelihoods are affected. For me, it affects this whole thing about financial inclusion. Kofi Annan of Blessed Memory said something that this is an idea that has come to stay. He was talking about microfinance. I think it is about time we took steps to address this issue about loan default. What I have advocated on various platforms is that let's look at criminalizing willful loan default. Willful loan default. And my position is this, sweetie, that the intention is not to flood our prisons with loan defaulters, no. But the thought behind it, the fact that somebody will get to know that when you default, you can...
The law will deal with you.
Exactly, you can be put behind bars. Brazenly, we have defaulters who will talk about the fact that, look, take me to court, because they know that it's a civil matter. They cannot be put behind bars. There are steps that we need to take to address this issue about rising loan default. Otherwise, one day, there wouldn't be businesses to run.
Right. How do you reconcile the digital age? We are in the fourth industrial revolution, and everything is happening online now. Lending, approval requirements, and all that. How do you reconcile? Because most of your work, or a big chunk of your work, involves going to these people coming to you in the markets and all that. How do you reconcile this age of digital evolution with what you do?
Thank you. I will go back to our East African neighbors. They have taken some steps already. Basically, we do brick and mortar.
Yeah.
But for their microcredit institutions, the lending-only institutions, they are driven by technology.
Right.
Yes. I am aware that the Bank of Ghana is trying to put something together in the area of digital finance. For now, FIDO in our space, in the microcredit space, it is the only institution that has been approved to do, for instance, digital and online lending. So I think it's also a caution to the public.
Okay.
A number of our people go online to access loans from unapproved money lenders. They have not been granted license, apart from FIDO in the microcredit space. So I think it's important we pay attention to that. And I think it's also important to mention that, they get access to your personal information and create all kinds of problems for you. So I think that should be education to the public, that they need to be careful to deal with licensing institutions, because a lot of issues are coming up. So as I mentioned earlier, the regulator has taken this up. I am aware that they are trying to put something together in the area of digital finance and, of course, by extension, digital lending. But if you qualify, I know the approval will be given for you to do online and digital lending.
Okay.
Yes.
So is it safe to say that every company operating a microfinance, microcredit belongs to the Microcredit Association of Ghana?
Thank you, sweetie. So in the microfinance space are various players. And it has also been put into tiers by the regulator. So we have tier ones comprising savings and loans, finance houses, rural banks. We have tier twos, microfinance companies. They use the name microfinance. So you may think that they are the only microfinance players in the space. Then the tier twos are the microcredit companies. They are the lending only companies. Yes, but they operate as companies. Then the last tier, yes, like FIDO. Yeah. They are doing so well in the space. Then the last tier will be the individual money lenders, of which I would encourage you to maybe you can pick a license and lend to your colleagues. Yes, yes. So for the tier 4, we have the microcredit institutions and the susu collectors. Okay. So in the space, and all of them, as I mentioned earlier, should have operating license, even for the susu collectors. Okay. So that's how it plays out in this.
All right. Oh, well, Ebenezer Korte, thank you for coming. I'll give you about 45 seconds if you have a final statement you want to share with our audience.
So, what I would say is that it's important that we are responsible in our borrowing. It's key. And our economic situation hinge on responsible borrowing. Employment hinge on responsible borrowing. If we pick the funds, we pick the loans, and we don't pay, you are putting somebody out of employment. You are crowding out institutions. And ultimately, it will impact negatively on our economy. Thank you.
Ebenezer Korte, Esquire, is the Executive Director or CEO of Microcredit Association of Ghana, and he joined us for this conversation. Thank you so much for coming.